Hi, sorry, there was a technical difficulty there, so the line dropped. But anyways, we're back live. Okay, so what was I saying? So yes, so you channel that same energy towards benefiting others constantly, consistently. And when we do that, we will be able to slowly heal the regret that we have done. We will heal that sense of regret, or sorry, the sense of guilt. Rather, the sense of guilt. We will slowly heal that. We will slowly heal that. You see, it's good news that you feel guilty because it shows that you have a sense of conscience. You know, you have a conscience to tell you that what you did was wrong and is eating into you, and it is eating into you, and that is good. All right, is everything okay? Okay, I think it's okay. We just continue. Okay, so so that is what happens now. How? Okay, Freon, this is what you do. If the thing has ended, then you just cue me. Just yeah. So just continue. All right. Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Not sure what's happening, but there should be Wi-Fi here. All right. So, anyways, what was I saying? So what I'm saying is this: that our emotions will keep arising for sure because we're not evolved, we're not highly realized people, and we do make mistakes. You see, every one of us have made mistakes. Every one of us. So no one is perfect. No one. All of us handle our mistakes differently, very, very differently. And if we're always fearful that others will judge us because of the huge mistake that we have done, that you cannot stop. We have to realize that we cannot stop what others think about us. I mean, look at Mother Teresa, a saint. And there are haters. There are people who hate Mother Teresa. Nelson Mandela, who has liberated millions of people in his country. And yet, there are haters. And yet there are haters. So, what's my point? My point is, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Okay? So, doesn't matter. What is most important is you do what is right. You do what is right for you, that is true to you. You do what is true to you. With a good conscience, with a good motivation. That is very, very important. With a good motivation, you try your best to be kind, to be compassionate. You try your best. That's the best you can do. And be prepared. Yes, people will support you based on people's assessment of us or based on people's judgment of us. It is unrealistic. It is totally unrealistic. We can never ever make everyone accept us and be happy with us because there are people with different mindsets, with people with all sorts of different agenda. Like I said, even the holiest of the holy people are also being criticized for what they do. Let alone us. Let alone us. Right? So we came into this existence not to live our lives not based on other people's opinion on us, but based on what is true to us. And what is true to us is the true nature in us. The true nature in us. All right? So if you tap into that true nature in us, everything else will fall in place. And how do you know what's the true nature? It's the selfless, kind, the loving kindness, the compassion. That is the true nature in us. So we tap into that. And through meditation, mindful meditation, we will be able to slowly tap into that. How? As we've been saying, we've been practicing for the last 99 episodes, you calm the mind and focus on one thing. And what we've done is we've focused on the breath. In other sessions, we've focused on the sound using the Tibetan singing bowl. All right, you can focus on anything you like, but I like to use the breath because anywhere you go, be it in your home, when you're traveling, when you're in the office, you can still focus on your breath. Because we're so used to a certain routine, a certain way of focusing. So it is more practical that we focus on the breath. Right? I think there were some of you who said, you've been focusing on a holy image, and then when you went to the office, there was no holy image, so you could not focus. You see, that's how the mind works. The mind is always doing that. All right? So develop a healthy, practical routine. That's my point. Develop a practical and healthier routine. And that will serve you ultimately. That will serve you ultimately. Okay, I hope that explains, Iman. Let me see. Do you have any more questions? Do we have any more questions? There's another question from Iman. Okay. Many aspects of reality. Number 2, you said we should see people and situations from different angles by observing and understanding them more. Can you give a practical example of this? Sure. Okay, so number 1, Yiman, can you explain more on what are the many aspects of reality? Many aspects of reality, well, reality is... Now, the reality that I'm referring to that is on a practical level for us would be realizing that situations and people are beyond our control. Beyond our control. Situations and people may look similar to our past experiences. They may look similar, but there is a certain percentage that the person will behave differently, will have a different result with you. Same thing with situations. The mind likes to operate from past experiences. All right, and we are taught. Okay, we're always taught to do that. So, as a result, because we train ourselves to do that, all right? So we train ourselves to do that. Now it is time to unlearn and retrain ourselves to observe in the now. Observe in the now. Have an open mind. Make a conscious effort to have an open mind and observe the person as is, without judgment. Observe. Even the situation, observe. We do not jump into conclusions. We observe. The more you practice observe, it's okay for you, I'm just going to keep talking. Although it may look different, there's a huge chance that the result will be different. There's a huge chance. So that's why we have an open mind and we focus on the now. And that's what focusing, and that is one of the things about the power of the now. See, everybody talks about the power of the now. Be present, be present. It is a very profound advice, being present. Many people think, well, be present, live in the now. So live your fullest. No, that's not what it means. It means that the power, when we realize the power of the now, what we are doing is in essence, we realize that what we do right now, right at this present moment, will determine our future. Every second that we live right now will pave the way towards our future. So choose wisely. And before we choose wisely, the key word here is wisely. Before we even choose, we need to perceive with clarity. How do we perceive with clarity? Without bias, without judgment. Without bias, without judgment. That's how we perceive. And that takes practice. When we listen to talks like this and when we read up on how the mind works, and when we start to apply that into our own mind, and we slowly peel off all the fears and insecurities and all the things that do not serve us, all the emotional baggage that we've been holding on to, when you start to unload that and work on a deeper level on the thought process, how your mind processes what you perceive. When you start to work on that, you will realize that you no longer suffer from depression. Because why? You see, a lot of times why are we unhappy? Think about it. It's because we have certain expectations on people, on situations. So when we remove the expectation that it must look like this, when we remove that, our suffering becomes less and less and less, to a point that there's no suffering. Because why? Well, you don't have that, you are not fixated that the result has to look like. Well, I say no. Set a higher goal. If that is why I always say, have the intention. What is the intention here? What is our intention? See, for me, my intention is to benefit others in whatever shape and form, constantly. So this body here, I use my body, mind, and my speech to benefit others in whatever ways I can. That is my intention. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So if I focus on the mechanics, or if I were to be with a person and the person should react a certain way because I have benefited the person, then I am in for trouble. Because why? I have no control whatsoever with how the person is going to receive my good intentions. Even situations, projects that I do that will benefit thousands of people, sometimes there may be obstacles along the way. Those things may not turn out the way I would like them to turn out, but it doesn't eat into me and it doesn't destabilize my calmness. Because why? The calmness in my mind, the calmness in my mind. Not the outer calmness, it's the inner calmness that I'm referring to. Inner calmness. Inner calmness. So it does not destabilize the inner calmness in my mind. It does not. Why? Because my motivation is set up here. The rest is the mechanics. The rest is the mechanics. The mechanics means the method towards achieving it. So if this doesn't work, we'll try this way. If this doesn't work, we'll try this way. It doesn't work. And you keep going at it. You keep going at it, and you keep going at it. So that is a difference. What is my expectation? To benefit others. To benefit others. In all, whatever ways deemed fit for the person or the situation. Okay, so we suffer less as a result. So what's the reality? The reality is perceive without bias, perceive without judgment. Just like the sun sets and the sun rises. That's a reality. What's the reality of people? There is so much we can understand a person's mind, but there are certain blind spots that we will not understand. There's certain at our level, that's it. So so have a notion or have a realization that you can only observe the person's mind situation. Different situations will trigger different facets of one's mind. So if the situation, if you meet a certain person in a situation that is pretty much the same, then you pretty much expect the same facets of the person's mind that you're going to experience. Right? But if you take the person and you put the person in a different situation where it's more challenging, a lot of distraction, you start to do business with the person, different expectation, or you go on a vacation with the person, and you see the person day in, day out, right? And I hear this all the time. Oh my goodness, I went on a vacation with this person. I didn't realize the person is like this. You see, because why? Because when you travel with a person, you see the person day in and day out. So there's so much a person can pretend, or there's so much, or because you are with the person in different scenarios throughout the trip. So different situation will trigger different facets of the person's mind. Then you say, oh, so that's how this person is. So yes, so it is good. If you want to know your friend better, travel with your friend. Then you will be able to see or to experience different facets of the person's mind. And that's it. Right? So because sometimes when you travel, you may be sharing rooms. So even during the night, which you have never done when you're back here in Kuala Lumpur, you don't experience that part of them. Right? They can be snoring, or they can be having a certain ritual at night. I don't know. And then you go, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah? So you see what I'm trying to say? So what I'm trying to say is different situations will trigger. And that is reality. That is reality. So when we realize that, then we do not jump to conclusion, or we do not judge a person so fast, because we have not really experienced the person as much as we can to form any form of judgment. So we keep observing and we keep observing. Give the person the benefit of the doubt. Always. Always. So you suffer less. Okay, so that is just one of the examples of reality. There's so much more to reality. But I think for our level, that is more pragmatic, because we deal with people and situations all the time. That would serve us better, I feel. All right, Iman? Okay? And then, second, you said we should see people and situations from different angles by observing and understanding them more. Can you give a practical example of this? Okay, this is what I've been talking about. All right, so I hope that answers your questions, Iman. Jocelyn, during meditation, hi Jocelyn, we try to let thoughts flow past, but it is difficult not to lock onto these thoughts. How is the best way to do this? Well, Jocelyn, thoughts will arise, memories from the past, thoughts of, oh, what am I going to eat afterwards? Something that you're going to do afterwards or something from your past, these are thoughts that will arise. Even a sound that we hear, and then you may go, oh, what's that bird? You know, like I hear a machinery somewhere. I go, oh, and my thought will be, what's that machine there? Oh, what's that banging sound there? It's very natural. The mind is always distracted with all these things. But you see, when we meditate, we hear what we hear, or we see what we see, or we observe whatever thoughts and emotions that may arise from the mind. Acknowledge it. Oh yes, a thought. Oh yes, a sound. Oh yes, an itch. Oh yes, a backache, or anywhere that you're aching. Yes. Bring the focus back to your breath. So you can either bring your focus back to your breath. What I share is focus on the nostril area, the air going in and out. There are other methods whereby you can focus on your navel area. Okay, when we breathe through the stomach, and you notice that your stomach goes in and out, in and out, in and out from your breathing. And you breathe naturally in and out. That's the proper way of breathing. In and out. And you notice your navel going up, down, up, down, up, down. As long as you focus on your breath, that's fine. So push yourself, control the mind, and focus on the breath. And then sometimes your mind will slip and then focus on a thought, or focus on this or that, the light flickering, whatever it is. Your mind will keep jumping, will be distracted. Bring your focus back to your nostril area. So the exercise of yourself being mindful that your focus has drifted, and then you bring it back. That exercise of keep bringing back your focus to your nostril area or your navel area, control your mind. And that is the exercise. So meditation is not about emptying your mind. It is not. It is about strengthening the control of your mind by focusing. When we do that, it will enable us to perceive a person or a situation with more clarity. All right? It will not happen within a month or two. It takes consistent effort. Just like going to the gym. You want to bulk up, or you want to tone up, whatever it is, it will take consistent effort. 6 months to a year at least before you see tremendous benefits or tremendous difference. But all of you who have been meditating with me throughout the 99 episodes, you have shared with me that it has made a difference in your mind, and you notice it. You notice that you catch yourself from reacting. Okay, you catch yourself reacting from your emotions. You catch yourself from focusing on a certain emotion or a certain thought, and you focus on your intention. As a result, you're more calm, you're more focused, and you're more productive as a result. Okay, and that's what you have been sharing with me. And we've been doing this for how many months already? Since March? How many months is that? 9 months? And that is amazing. That is truly amazing. Okay, I hope that makes sense, Jocelyn. Okay, so Hi JP, based on Pastor Nirol Dharma sharing last week, he mentioned that there's a difference between zoning out the thoughts during meditation, which only lead to calming, and is different from being mindfulness. Isn't it even if being in zoning out state so long that we're aware of the wandering thoughts and bring it back to our focus point breathing. It's a form of training of mindfulness, right? Would like to hear your thoughts. Okay, let me read this again. There's a difference between zoning out the thoughts during meditation, which only lead to calming, and it's different from being mindfulness. Yes. You see, when you zone out, mindfulness training, it's about being aware of where you choose to focus. When you blanket, it is when you zone out, it is not a conscious choice. That means you are not focusing on something. You're not focusing on something. It is not a conscious choice that you make because you zone out. The mind, you see, some people kind of like, like when they're tired, they kind of space out. They either space out and wander in their thoughts, or they literally just space out, like literally go blank. That is a form of not being in control of the mind. Not being in control. It's just floating around. Okay, mindfulness training, when we do mindfulness training, we don't zone out. We're always focused on something. And some of you may say, oh, isn't that a lot of work? No, it's not. Because when you focus on something, it's very, very relaxing. Very relaxing. If you do gardening and you only focus on your gardening, isn't that very therapeutic? For some of you, when you do ironing of your clothes, isn't that very therapeutic? Some of you swim because it calms your mind. Whatever it is that you do to calm your mind, notice it's because you're focused on that one thing. On that one thing. Even some people play with computer games just to relax. Yes, you are trying to do this, but your mind is focused on one thing. The focusing is what's calming. The focusing. All right, yes, so there is definitely a difference. Zoning out is when you're not controlling your mind. Being focused on one thing is when you're controlling the mind. All right, when you zone out, you don't feel calm. I don't. I just space out. But I don't feel that kind of calmness that resonates throughout my body. That's the difference. You try it and then let me know. All right, so fun? Hi, Agnes. Hope everything is okay with you in Bangkok. I see that in your Facebook you're having a lot of fun. Do practice mindfulness and practice wearing a mask and social distancing. Okay, Agnes, and I look forward to seeing you here in Kechara Forest Retreat when the opportunity arises. All right, Agnes. Folk One, hi, good morning. May I know, can we meditate in darkness? What I mean is, when we get up from sleep in the early hours of the morning when the lights are off, of course you can. Definitely. You can do that. You can meditate anywhere you like. Anywhere, anytime. You can do it in the middle of the night. You can do it early in the morning. You can do it anywhere. The key here is to control the mind to focus on your breath. That's good. All right? Coquelin. The single-pointed meditation that we've been having since the MCO days has been a good tool to calm our minds. I remember that you've mentioned a few sessions ago that we've built up our mind to our current state over decades, and it takes time to change our habituation depending on our effort. In this context, can you share with us how do we further enhance the meditation results to increase our spiritual practice, especially when we're at workplace off our sadhana cushion? Okay. Enhance the meditational results. Now, when we meditate, what is it that we want? So there's something that you ask yourself, Coquelin. When we learn to control our mind, what is it that we want to achieve? So on a spiritual context, it is because why? You see, in many Eastern or Asian religions, meditation is part of the process of understanding deeper spiritual teachings. So Because Kogwen is a Tibetan, talk to you in Tibetan Buddhism or any type of Buddhism. Okay, it all comes from the Lord Buddha, because Lord Buddha taught 84,000 methods towards enlightenment, catering to 84,000 types of mind. In other words, there's no one method that will appeal to everyone. So he categorized it into he actually categorized into 84,000 ways to, to, to appeal to all these different types of mindsets. Having said that, meditation, when we meditate, we calm the mind. When we calm the mind, our mind becomes very clear. And at the same time, we train the mind to be focused. 100%, ultimately 100% of our focus, of our mind goes into focusing on that one thing that we are reading up. That is very important. Because why? In Buddhism, when we study on a higher level, it's like studying quantum physics. It's very, very deep. It talks about reality, science. So in order to perceive reality on a much deeper level, the mind has to be focused. Your mind cannot be wandering. It cannot. It cannot. You have to focus. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand what it is that you read. And when the mind is very focused, you will tap into other aspects of your mind that some people say, oh, are you psychic? Are you a superhuman? Actually, you're not. Because why? The mind is so powerful. We have not even begun to tap into it. So when we learn to focus by controlling the mind, it will enable us to tap into our fullest potential of the mind. And when you start doing that, you will perceive reality. You will perceive nature, people, and situations with much more clarity. So it will help you with your spiritual practice. For our level, you will be able to understand a person much better. And because of that, empathy arises. So instead of judging a person, instead of saying, I don't like you, I'm not going to deal with you. The more difficult a person, the more you're motivated to see how to break it into them, and then you will impart certain knowledge to help them let go. To help them let go of whatever. So yes, it will definitely help. With practice, empathy arises. Compassion arises when we practice. So that will definitely help you, Kongyan. Okay, so at your workplace. So how does it help you with your workplace? Definitely it will help you because why? You will be able to accomplish the results much faster because why? You are focusing on your work much more. So you'll be able to finish your work much faster with more accuracy. And you can do more. And your relationship with people will improve and improve because why? Because you're more mindful of the way they are, and because you're more mindful of how the person's character is, you'll be able to shift your method of communicating with them in a way that they will understand you better, and that you will create more harmony with you. In the process, you create harmony. You create peace and harmony in your workplace. Not just your workplace, even in your family, with your personal circle of friends and family members. You will create more harmony. And you will say things that, although you're trying to benefit them, but in ways that they know that you have a kind heart. In ways that you know that you're always trying to help them. Okay? I'm not saying you should always be helping because why? Some people are not ready for you to give advice. Yeah, I have people who say, I've been trying to help people, but they just walk away. So again, are we being mindful that these people are even ready to receive advice from us? Have we earned the respect from them that they're going to say, hey, JP, yes, can I hear from you? What do you think of this? Or if they're not so forthright, they may say, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. They will ask. When they ask, it means they are open to your suggestions. Whether or not they follow or they take your advice, that's up to them. It's not up to us to decide. They have a choice. We just do our best to impart what we've learned to them. Okay, so we don't get frustrated. Yeah, a lot of times I hear people saying, "Oh, I spent thousands of hours with you, and I feel so drained, and I don't want to talk to you anymore because because you talk about the same thing again and again and again." You see, the reason why we feel drained is because why we expect them to follow our advice. Of course, we have good intentions, but you see, it takes a while for some people to really want to do something with the way they process their thoughts and process what happens in their lives. It's a thought process. It's a thought process. Like I say, most people don't change fundamentally. They only change the way they do things. They hone the skills. So it's a very superficial way of changing. But on a deeper level, the way we think will not change unless we make a conscious effort to study, like what we're doing right now, study, learn, and then put in the effort to apply what we have learned. And because we apply what we've learned, then we go, so that's how it feels. Then that becomes part of you, and that's where realizations arise. When realizations arise, that's where wisdom arises. Wisdom can only arise if you practice what you have learned. Then it becomes part of you. Without thinking, you will just, this is your new way of operating, your new way of operating. Okay? Two, okay? I've realized that since we've been meditating since the MCO days, I'm more aware that I tend to judge and label others in the past. How do I decrease this habituated judgmental thinking through this meditation? My point is, how do I internalize it so that naturally I don't judge or label? You will naturally judge, Cogman, because for decades you have been judging is a thought. So because judging is a thought, then you watch the thought and you come back to your breathing or whatever your intention is. Watch the thought, watch your judgment, come back and come back and come back. Come back to what? Listening to the person, communicating with the person, but watch your thought. A judgment is a thought. A judgment is a thought. Okay? And that's how you do it. So practice. Put in the effort to just watch it. That means you're mindful that a judgment has arisen. You're mindful of it. Watch it and come back to the person. When you do that consistently enough, you will realize that it's just like split second. Split second, split second, split second. And through that experience, you will realize that a lot of times our judgments, we judge too soon, really. We judge too soon. And that is why, because of our judgment, we behave a certain way that will trigger the person to become what you have perceived them, what you have. Because why? The energy that you give out, the way you speak, your mannerisms are triggering up a facet of them to keep manifesting, so that why? So that they fulfill your judgment of them. But you see, that is just a facet of them. There's so many facets to the human mind. It's not everything. It's not all. All right. Let me see what else. So fun, I guess I'm still on the right track. Training the mind to be more focused through at times. I do fall into zoning out state. Just let it be. When we zone out is when we let our mind wander around, floating. It's out of control. When you zone out, when your mind is all over the place, you're out of control. You're totally out of control. So it will not serve you when you keep zoning out because your mind keeps wandering. And that's why acknowledge that every time, be mindful that every time when you zone out, you go, oh, I'm zoning out again. Okay, bring my focus back to something else. All right, if you're tired, take a nap. Take a nap. Zoning out, when we keep zoning out, we are training ourselves to lose control of the mind. And then you're back to square one. So it does not serve you. Okay? Let me see. Let's see who else. Jocelyn, wouldn't it be better to meditate in total silence, such as a room, rather than being out in nature where there are so much distractions? Well, if you find it difficult to meditate in silence for a start, yes, you can do that. But as you progress over the months, okay, when you have a good grasp of focusing, then meditate in nature or meditate, where you have all these distractions. Because why? That's the true test of how well you can bounce back. Watch your thoughts, watch the sound, and then quickly bounce back. Because why? The meditation is like going to the gym for the mind. The gym, now why do you need to strengthen the mind? Okay, so if you want to go to the gym to strengthen yourself, is it because you want to run a marathon, you want to win a marathon, you want to climb up a mountain, because you're having aches and pains, and and you want to strengthen your body so that you get physically healthier? Whatever your intentions may be, the gym helps you to achieve that. Now, meditation is like going to the gym for the mind. Because why? What is our intention? How to live our life to the fullest. How to live a life that of clarity, inner peace, and permanent happiness. How do we gain that? You go to the gym for the mind. It's called meditation. Or in certain instances, they call mindfulness training. Same difference. So, when we have a good control of the mind in the space of your room or in this yoga pavilion where I'm just bombarded with so many sounds from nature, from the nearby machinery, and so on and so forth, it's excellent. Because when I leave this yoga pavilion, I'll be bombarded with work, with people WhatsApping me, social media, thousands of distractions coming to me. So when I train myself in this space, I've already trained myself to observe my distractions and bring the mind back to my nostril. And I do it so often that when I leave this space, I'll be bombarded with other types of distractions. But you see, my mind is now much stronger. I can just say, okay, thank you for the distraction. Let me come back to what I need to do. Thank you for the distraction. Let me come back to do. It can be emotions. You know how many times we go, oh, I'm not in the mood to do that. But you got to do it. So thank you. Acknowledge your emotion of not wanting to do it and go and just focus on what you need to do. So that happens. So instead of being driven by our emotions, with our likes, with our dislikes, we are more driven by our intention. Okay? I've always said this during our class. Always have an intention. If you don't have an intention by now, Well, that's, how would I say, you will find it very difficult. You'll find it very difficult when you leave your room, because why? What is your focus? What is your focus for what is your focus for that day? What is your focus? Even with your career, a lot of times people say, oh, I want to be wealthy, I want to be rich. The next question is, how much do you want in your bank? Plus assets. How much? How much is enough? I don't know. Start calculating. From now until, you can foresee, I don't know, 80 years old, 90 years old, how much do you need to continue a lifestyle that you choose? See, everyone's lifestyle is different. So, and you pretty much know how much it takes to sustain your lifestyle every month. You do your calculation for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Then you will know how much you need. So once you reach that target, okay, cash in the bank plus your assets that will sustain your lifestyle. That's your goal. So once you reach there, that's it. You can stop. You can stop you can stop focusing on earning money and do things that are true to yourself. Or you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. So quickly get it done so that you can focus on other things. And some people say, well, I want a balanced life. A balanced lifestyle means you want to focus on not just work, but on other hobbies, whatever it is that you want to do. So you may not achieve your financial security as fast as you would like, because down your process of achieving your goals as a result. So if you want to quickly achieve your goals, you got to focus on one thing at a time and just do it all out. That's that one extreme. So when we are clear that our choices will slow down or will expedite our achievement of our goals, then you're very clear. When you're very clear, then you see, with that clarity, you will not be flustered so easily. You will not be stressed so easily because you have a set goal. You have that long-term goal that you've set for yourself. And when you do that, whatever happens, you just keep focusing on it, and you will keep changing the methods towards achieving that. So whether it works or not, it doesn't matter to you. It's just information. Okay, so this doesn't work. Let's try this. This doesn't work. Let's try this. And you keep going at it, keep going at it, keep going at it, keep going at it until you achieve it. Then you're done. And then you're done. So yes, so meditation is helping you focus. So definitely coming back to your question, if you've just started meditation, yes, it does help to be in a quiet room. But after a few months, come to a place like this and have all these distractions. Welcome it. Even like how many of you share with me that when you're meditating, you are distracting you, calling you, your phone rings. These are distractions. And you say that it actually disturbs your equilibrium. It's okay. It's not about the equilibrium. It's about bouncing back from a distraction to your nostril. It's all about that. Okay? In contrary to what people think that, when you do meditation, it's supposed to be about peace and all that. Yes, it can. But for mindfulness meditation, it's not about that. It's about strengthening your control of the mind. And when you keep doing that, anywhere you go, be it your home, with your family, during family gatherings, there's so much distraction, be it your workspace or anywhere that you go, and you're bombarded with all these distractions, and sometimes you are just like, it's overwhelming. Immediately You just in your air and immediately just focus on your breath. And then you find that peace, that stillness, because you just shifted your mind onto your breath. All right? Even if you're so good at it, even when you're working and you're bombarded with all these distractions, you can still find the peace just by focusing on your work that is in front of you. The calmness will arise because your mind is focused on your work. Oh yes, it's very profound. That's why controlling the mind to focus will create calmness and peace in your mind. Okay, it's not just silencing. Silencing is only when you first start, but it is not practical because when you leave your room, there's no silence. It's all the distractions, all the distractions. Okay, and which also reminds me, even in a silent room, you're also distracted by your thoughts and physical discomforts. You'll be itching all over. So internally, you will be distracted as well. You will be. So again, thank you the thoughts. Thank you for the thoughts arising. Thank them. Thank you. Let me bring my focus back to my breath. Thank you for the emotions. Let me bring my focus back to my breath. Do that. There are times, Jocelyn, where, wow, you don't have much thoughts or you don't have much emotions. There are times when you meditate, that happens. But there are certain days where you're bombarded incessantly throughout that session. It's still okay. Just watch it and come back to your breathing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Corinne, not a question, but just a sharing. I sometimes put a lot of time, it can be hours or days, in my thoughts before I say or do something to avoid upsetting people. Even though I sometimes find this stressful, but it does help me to empathize the other party and create positive environment. Yes, when you do that more, it will just be a split second. All right? Iman, you mentioned in one of the sessions, Creations of Suffering. Oh, you will know, Iman. You will definitely know. You see, we are creatures of emotions. We are. We feel. You will know that you're emotionless and you don't know why. You see, I became numb and kind of like very hard is because I kept suppressing my feelings. The reason why I suppress my feelings is because nobody taught me to change the way I perceive things. Nobody taught me that. This is before I met my teacher in Kechara, Rinpoche. So the only way I knew was to suppress my unhappiness. Because I suppressed my unhappiness, even my happiness was naturally shut down as a result. So that's why I became numb. Okay, and because I did it so often, I just didn't feel anymore. I thought it was just natural as we grow up. Because as we grow up, things are not the way they turn out to be, people are not the way they turn out to be, and you become, after a while, very jaded. You see, it's not their fault. We are to blame, because why? We have been operating from a lot of judgment and expectations. I expect this person to be like this because I did this or whatever it is. I expect situations to be like this because I put in so much effort. And yet it doesn't turn out the way I want it to be. So after a while you become very, very demotivated because you see, because of my fixation with expectations of people and situations. So I was not being realistic. As such, I became disappointed. So much so to a point that I didn't want to go out anymore. After work, I just stayed at home and watch my videos and just stay with my family. And even if I do go out, it's just my handful of good friends, and that's it. Because everyone was a disappointment. Everything that I did out there was just full. So I was not being realistic. So because nobody taught me that the way I was thinking is wrong. Wrong way of thinking. So my teachers advised me, you see, it's not the fault. It's because of my expectation. So instead of focusing on my expectation, focus on catching yourself. Catch yourself when you project your expectations on people and situations. Watch it and go, no, let's not expect. Let's not expect. Do your best and know that, and that's good enough. Whether or not, yeah, and just do that. And observe the person and the situation, because everything is beyond your control. But you can control the way you perceive and the way you react. That's most important. You see, as I've always said, the law of nature is such that everything is unpredictable. Unpredictable. So how can we slot them in to a certain concept in our mind that it has to fit? We ourselves are not being realistic. So when I do that more and more and more and more, then of course the suppressed emotions all came out. So yes, let them come out, it will pass. You will cry, you will laugh, let it all come out. People think, oh, you're crazy. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. Let it all come out. Then when all the baggage comes out, then you feel very light. And when you feel very light, little things will make you feel happy. Especially helping others will make you feel happy. Even seeing a tree, listening to birds, you feel happy. You are happy to be in the now. You just feel bliss and joy. You're just happy. There's none of these, there's less. I wouldn't say none for our level, but there are less negativity in our system because of that realization. But see, that takes practice. That takes practice. Okay? And I've said that from being numb because of the way of my wrong perception, and always thinking of me, what I like, what I don't like, what I like, what I don't like. So self-centric. And being in Kechara enabled me to focus out on helping others all the time. That focus throughout these years made me more light. I know what I have learned when I build something that I know will benefit many people, that happiness arises. It arises. And not because I'm being acknowledged, nothing, but the fact that my actions and the time I spend creates some sort of a positive impact in someone's lives. That motivates me to do even more. And the happiness and joy that arises surpasses everything else that I did before Kechara that was more self-serving. You know, earning money for myself, buying things for myself, eating good food, so everything that was to please my five senses. Okay? All that cannot come near, even close to it. This you have to experience yourself. This you have to experience yourself. Once a week, you can do that once a week, serving others. It can be your security guard in your apartment. But it can be anywhere you go. You see a homeless person and you give them food. Serving people you don't know. That's the key here. Serving people whom you don't know. And you do it without any conditions. Every week, just once a week. Do a charity. And really listen. Listen to their needs and you assess. Right? Kechara has a soup kitchen. Why does Kechara soup kitchen grow so big? Is because we've been trained by our teacher to be mindful of people's needs. What we perceive they need is different from what they really need. Because they're in the situation, they just need a helping hand that will enable them to be more independent. And that's what we do, using food. So we've led you to be financially not as able. So how do we help you to, first of all, make sure no one's hungry, okay, that's important, and that you get all the nutrients, because when you don't have enough nutrients, you definitely fall sick all the time. Okay, so we give you all the nutritious food that you need so that you don't have to keep going to the hospital and pay for medical bills, which are very expensive, which many people cannot afford. Right? Then what's next? Oh, okay, you're not educated. So perhaps your children need to go to school to break that cycle of poverty. Or you're a single parent. You need to take care of your children who are very young. You don't have anyone who can help you, but you need income. Okay, so we will teach you certain skills so that you can actually work at home, earn income, and at the same time take care of your children. You see, so it varies from family to family. That's my point. So when we're mindful of their needs, then we'll be able to give them the help that they require, so that they can actually become independent eventually. And Kechara is one of the biggest soup kitchen in Malaysia. We serve everyone in the nation as a result. Okay, so yes, we have come from humble beginnings with just 10 packets of rice once a week, and now we serve to 10,000 families every week. All right, so baby steps. Remember, baby steps, and consistency is the key here. All right, Iman, so I hope that explains. So yeah, so try it and you will know. You will know. Cochrane, just to share with you on creating harmony at workplace, I've managed to increase harmony again amongst my peers and colleagues. My point, this meditation class certainly helped us in all aspects of our life. Oh, I'm very glad to hear that. You see, our meditation class actually instills a certain consistency in your lifestyle. All right, that's why I said I make it a point to meditate with all of you so that you build that in your lifestyle. And consistency is the key here. Realize that I can share with others that respect has to be earned, despite the person being bombarded by others with disrespect almost on a daily basis. Okay. Kaito Oishi, hello. Thank you for tuning in. Iman, about gut feeling and intuition, what's your thoughts on the accuracy and validity of gut feeling, intuition, and what do you think there's overlap with unfounded perception or overthinking? Only we will know whether or not our intuition and our gut feeling is sharp, is accurate. Only we will know. Okay, it's case to case. Some people have very strong intuition and they know because whatever that they were feeling came true. So only you will know. All right? So when we meditate more and when the mind becomes more calm, then you will notice that you will have a certain feeling about a person when you perceive the person or a situation. You don't know why, but you feel very strongly about this person through your observation. The person didn't say anything, but through the person's actions, the body, speech, and mind, through that, a certain feeling will arise, and then you observe. without being biased, and you observe. And later on, it matches with your gut feeling. And if you have that many, many times, then you will know that your intuition on your gut feeling is very accurate. Okay? Sometimes, for some people, they say, oh, this is my gut feeling, but it's not very accurate. So you will have to find out for yourself. You have to find for yourself. But definitely when we meditate consistently, either through prayers or through our mindfulness training, are mindful of your gut feeling, and you match. Stumbled upon this quote of Rinpoche yesterday: when we are challenged, we will see where our mind is. Can you explain more on this quote? Definitely. When we are challenged, we will see our mind, where our mind is. Definitely. You see, with all the distraction, I have this machine here humming away. So instead of being distracted and being annoyed, no, I focus on talking to you. Focus on talking. So I can. So if I focus on the noise, definitely the irritation will rise. Definitely. But no, I focus on you guys, so it doesn't irritate me. Okay, so this is a challenging situation. I'm trying to fight against that sound and focus on you guys. That's challenging, right? So again, remember what I said. There are different facets of our mind. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have other facets of our mind. That's why challenging times are times whereby we are in a situation which is not what we are used to. Look at this COVID-19 pandemic. We're not used to wearing a mask all the time. We're not used to social distancing. We're not used to being confined in our house all the time. These are challenging times. Okay? Or for some people, we're not used to office politics. We're not used to people who are confrontational. We're not used to, in certain parts of the world, there are wars. We're not used to these kind of violence. So when we are put in that situation, usually not by choice, you will see certain facets of your mind arising. You will behave in a certain way. And you go, oh. That is why when my teacher was around, my teacher will create, like for me, I'll speak for myself. When I'm given a project to build, it's supposed to be 1 year. Okay, normally it'll take a contractor 1 year to build this, but my teacher will squeeze it down to 3 months or 4 months. It is because why? He was creating a challenging environment for me to work with a very tight time frame to achieve the same result. So there's no room. So I have to focus on my construction project and make sure that whatever happens, I have to rectify immediately. And everything have to be on time. If this happens, then I have to resolve it. So it was to help me focus on the task at hand, and that's it. So my focusing, my control of the mind came from experiential learning, using construction. Okay, so that's where the strength of my control of my mind came about. So, you see, and then dealing with contractors, there's some contractors who can be quite funny. So how do we deal with them? And when certain materials don't come on time, how do I deal with them? So it's all about focusing on being more solution oriented and not on bickering and complaining and feeling demotivated, because everything is just falling apart and nothing is on schedule and I'm supposed to finish this within 3-4 months. Poor me. I didn't have time for that. So So it made me push myself into the poor me mode, into, okay, let's see how do I resolve this. Let's see how to resolve this. Let's see how to. So it pushed me to be more constructive. That's why the challenging situation was my practice to focus on things that are more constructive, that will give me the desired results that I need to deliver. So that is my training. That's my training. So again, it also allows me to check my mind. It allows me to check my mind from, oh, see, here I am again, expecting that the contractor will understand me even though I've said it a 100th time. Okay, so I go, okay, forget it. See, that's my expectation, but the results show otherwise, so let's focus on how to rectify it. So that created a new thought process in me. Okay, it's all right. Just keep going at it, 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 keep going at it. So it checked my mind that, yes, I still do have expectations. The facet of my mind of having expectations is still there. But now it's much less. I'm not saying it's gone, it's much less. And less and less. So in challenging times, whatever comes up, you check yourself. Oh, I thought it doesn't exist anymore, but because you went through because of a challenging situation, it will trigger it. Then you can check. Ah, it's still there. Then it's like a result check. It's a result check. Then you know how much more work you need on your mind. Okay, Yiman, I hope that explains. So fun. JP, just now you mentioned release all emotional baggage out. May I know what's the appropriate technique or mechanism to such release? Meditation. Remember when you meditate, and when we're doing the breathing meditation and the sound breathing meditation, a lot of our emotions arose. Watch it and come back to the breathing. Watch it come to breathing. If you put yourself now, if you are up for a challenge, put yourself in a very challenging situation. Or meet people whom you cannot stand. Whom you cannot stand. And watch your emotions. They'll trigger all your emotions. And when your emotions arise, watch your emotions and just focus on the person. Focus on your intention of why you want to meet the person. Focus on that. Okay, if you're not ready for that, don't. Meditate. Meditate on the person who irritates you the most. Just visualize in your mind, visualize the person in front of you, and the things that the person would say to you, usually, that will make you very upset. Do that. It will trigger all these pent-up frustrations in you, and then when they arise, you watch it, and then you go back to the person. You watch it and you go back to the person. But if it makes it worse, then immediately go back to your breathing. Oh yeah, it will all come out, definitely. But watch it this time instead of analyzing it. Oh, you know, this person's like this. Yeah, you may be right, but it doesn't serve you. You may be right. You see, the person can do whatever he or she wants. It's beyond our control. What's within our control is how we choose to react. We have control with how we choose to react. Okay? So do that. And it will trigger all that emotional baggage out. It will, definitely. Try it and let me know. Crying if needed, yes, of course. Because there are certain times where, a memory arises because you miss this person very much. And you cry, definitely. It will arise. Then focus back on your breath. And let the emotion come out. Let the emotion come out. When all this emotional baggage becomes less and less and less and less, then how do you stop yourself from loading up with more emotional baggage? You will keep loading yourself. Here you have unloaded all the baggage, and then because your thought process have not changed, so you keep loading back. You keep loading on new emotional baggage. So the key to not having so much emotional baggage is once you have unloaded, and with a clearer mind, you can slowly change your thought process. And when you do that, you realize that you have less and less negative emotions. Okay, so fun? Isn't it by practicing meditation we should be mindful of the emotions that arise and let it go? Just acknowledge and not react to it as they're all impermanent. Yes, they're all impermanent. Feelings come and go, feelings come and go. I mean, look at the dress that you bought 10 years ago. You were so excited when you bought that dress or the bag. Now when you look back, no more feeling, because your feelings come and go. That's how nature is. The sun rises and it sets. Yes, it's been cloudy and rainy in Bentong, but it comes and goes. That's nature. Everything in nature comes and goes. Even our emotion comes and goes. Okay? So, as we're all normal human beings, which is a work in progress, thus which is better, to watch it and let it go, or to release them? Watching and letting go and releasing is the same thing. It is the same thing. Okay? Not adding more is the key here. Not adding more to a negative emotion into our baggage of negative emotions is the key here, by changing our thought process. You see, for me, it's about expectations. So if I change myself and not having all these expectations, because I realize that people and situations are beyond my control. Look at ourselves. Even we sometimes are surprised with how we behave or do things. Even we find it difficult to control ourselves, let alone having a fixation on how this person or situation should be and not be. Does that make sense? We find it so difficult to control ourselves, let alone other people. Of course, there's all this unpredictability. So with meditation, we become more and more in control. Okay, so so again, when I reduce my hesitations, I become less disappointed. And because I become less disappointed, I don't suffer as much. I don't feel irritated. I don't feel unhappy. I'm not numb. It's just that nothing triggers it. Because why? I realized. And because I realize, and when I notice certain facets of the mind that, my goodness, they behave like this, like this, like this, because why? I've been studying how the mind works. And I go, okay, so is it possible because they have this emotional baggage? Is it possible? I don't know. But I can guess. But it's okay. So empathy arises. When empathy arises, you're more accepting as a result, and you're more forgiving as a result. It's like your child. Yeah, your child can be naughty and all that, but you know he's a child. They lack the wisdom, so you're more forgiving because the child's mind is still not very wise. You're more forgiving. So see, it's understanding. Through understanding, you become more empathetic and more forgiving. Not just to them, ultimately to ourselves. Forgiving others are easy. Forgiving yourself is the big one. Remember, I think I have a few episodes about forgiving yourselves. That's the big one. If you forgot, you can watch it again. Okay, I think we have. What time is it now?
10.
Oh, 10 o'clock. Oh, okay. So we've run out of time, so we shall end. Iman, based on how the mind is being sentimental means we are too attached to our feelings, emotions, or the past which we should let go. Well, you can be sentimental. I'm not saying go through life like a robot. No, emotions come, emotions go. The key here is when we like to lament on this reminded you of a certain thing. It was so nice, beautiful, wonderful. Let it go. When we realize things come into our lives for a reason and they go, they come and they go, they come and they go. When it happens, you cherish the moment. When it leaves, bye. and your life goes on. So being sentimental is fine. What doesn't serve us is always looking for situations that bring back that sentimental feeling. We're attached to a certain feeling. Like how I was saying, there's certain people who are attached to falling in love all the time. So and hence the person keeps going from one person to another, to another, to another, to another. Because why? When the falling in love, quote unquote, falling in love sensation disappears, and they keep reigniting it, and nothing happens because it's all in the mind. You really know this person. There's nothing mysterious, and the feeling of falling in love is no longer there. Then you say, oh, I think I've fallen out of love. It's because the whole issue with falling in love is just a concept. It's just a concept that is not real. That's why people, quote unquote, fall out of love. And they keep pursuing it from one person to another. So, without realizing that it was all an illusion. It's delusional. So same thing with being sentimental. Yes, it's fine. But if you focus on always feeling situation, and you're so fixated, then you're asking for trouble. Asking for trouble, because you will be so obsessed with just going from one situation to another, or one person to another, to trigger that sentimental feeling. You see the difference? That's the difference. So fixation on the sentimental feeling versus experiencing it and go, okay, it'll come, it'll go. I cherish the moment and it'll pass. Fine. Because that's how nature is. Law of impermanence. Okay? So that is the key difference here. All right, so thank you all for joining me. Thank you so much. I have had a most enjoyable time sharing with you all. It's our 100th episode. Can you believe it? It's our 100th episode. And it has been quite a journey for me and for all of you. And I'm so happy, and I feel so honored to have shared with you all my experience in Kechara, what I've learned with my teacher, and I could share it with all of you, hoping that it will shed some light in your lives, just like how it has shed so much light in my life. All right? So today is the 100th episode. Tomorrow there will not be any more session, because I was told that we're going to take a break from our live stream, and we will only continue after Chinese New Year. All right? So this will be a challenge now, because you're very used to meditating with me every weekend. So what's your challenge? Without me, continue that lifestyle. Continue that lifestyle. And when we pick it up again, when I do a live stream again after Chinese New Year, I hope to see all of you, and perhaps you can share with me your experience of meditating without me. And for those of you who've just joined me, yes, you may go, oh no, I just joined. Well, you know what? It's been 100 episodes, so you can actually watch my first episode until now. Okay, you can do that, and you can meditate with me, because during the lockdown, we were meditating on a daily basis for I think 2.5 months, and then when we had a conditional lockdown, that's why people started to go to work. Then we started meditating only on Saturdays and Sundays, where people were more free. So if you missed out, if you just joined today, then you can catch up by meditating as frequently as you can, and you meditate with me by watching my other 99 episodes, and then you can actually practice through that, which most people do, because different people around the world are in different time zones, so it's not possible for them to join me live all the time. Okay, so on that note, I wish you all a great weekend. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. and have a wonderful new year. Have a wonderful new year. Have a new year of knowing that you have put in so much effort into yourself to change the way you think, because now you're investing time into yourself the right way and evolve as a person to be more kind, to be more selfless, to be more loving, accepting, and be the light in your family and in your workspace as a result. And you walk the talk and you inspire others with your light that you created for yourself. So I congratulate all of you for doing that. And don't forget our gratitude journal. So again, if you have not started your gratitude journal, do that, because it will help us habituate our mind into realizing all the things that we're so blessed with. Look at this wonderful yoga pavilion. Not many people have access to yoga pavilions, so I'm totally blessed to be here. I don't have to travel thousands of miles just to sit on a yoga pavilion, and we have it right here. Fresh air, the coolness of this place, which we take for granted. The fan that's blowing at me. Freon behind the camera. All the help. I'm totally grateful for all this, and definitely will not take it for granted. So, and when we train our mind again, because of our daily gratitude journal that we write, you will feel very, very happy already. Happiness is a choice, as my teacher says. It's a choice. You can choose to be happy right now. It's all a choice. So on that note, be happy. And I love you all very much. And let's touch base again after Chinese New Year. All right, I look forward to all of you continuing this new lifestyle of yours. And I'm so happy for all of you. All right, so Happy New Year once again, and Happy Chinese New Year. And we'll meet again after Chinese New Year. Take care. Bye-bye.